She has a counselor who calls me once every week to discuss her report card that we get every week. And there's a plan from the beginning. And that's what I love about this school. That mentality that I need my medication to learn is gone. It's gone. But there was a time when she was in the public school, that's what she believed. Unless she had drugs on her, she would not perform well. You know, and it's very, that topic is very touching to me. So in the charter school, she's just, the teachers are very encouraging. She knows where she needs to improve. She knows where she's doing excellent. She has a plan. And I think that's wonderful.
He's not learning. He really isn't learning, and he's becoming a disciplinary problem. At one point, they actually told me there was something wrong with him, kind of quote unquote, there's something wrong with your child. Finally, the psychologist from his medical care visited the school, kind of peeked through the door and followed him for a day, and came back and said to me, I would run. I would take my child and just run out of this environment because it's not working. And the charter school took something that was a negative and showed you that it was the school and not the child. Because of the charter school, he is going to be able to do really well in high school and go on to do really well in college. My child went from somebody that, you know, his teachers were saying he wouldn't be able to learn and he had issues, and to suddenly he was the kid that was helping out in a math class because suddenly he became this math genius. And I couldn't even believe it was my child they were talking about. I kept saying, Michael, he's helping out in math? That kid couldn't count. Finding the charter school was like a eureka moment.
He wasn't reading where he needed to read at, what level he's reading at. I think he was reading at like a first grade level, and he was in like third grade. I mean, it just wasn't a good experience at all, and they would continue to pass him with A's and B's, where he really didn't deserve it. So for me, you know, it gives him the ability to go out there and have opportunities that he probably would not have gotten if he had stayed in public school, because he wouldn't have had those study habits. He wouldn't have had that discipline. He wouldn't have had that motivation or that drive that he got now that he's at Roxbury Preparatory Charter School.
His grades were not good at all, and he had trouble just finishing 5th grade. My fear when he was assigned to that school is that he was going to end up being a gang member. His first year at Excel, most of the year was complaining. I don't understand why, Mom, if I forgot my belt, what's the big deal? One little thing, one day, I don't understand why they punished me for that. Why did I have detention? But then, at the end, he appreciated everything. And he was saying that the reason for his success was because he was expected a lot of things at Excel, that they have high expectations for him. And he said it was like the military, but in a good way. And I loved it.
Well, urban public education is one of the big unsolved problems of American life. Poor kids, a lot of them minorities from single-family households, and reforming urban education so that those kids are going to have an opportunity to succeed in American life is perhaps the highest priority we have as a country. And the picture right now is very dismal. And so charter schools represent a very important dimension of expanding school choice in urban districts where people are really trapped, do not have the means to buy a home in an affluent community where they might be assured of a high-quality public education. Regular district schools in the city of Boston and most other cities are rigidly locked into a certain way of proceeding that was in most cases established a very, very long time ago. Charters are not only, I think, performing by and large better than regular public schools, particularly in the big cities, but they're supplying this necessary competition, stimulation, just this shake-up that we desperately need because the resistance to change is so fierce.
If you want to get your child into a charter school, a student doesn't need to take an exam, they don't have to go for an interview. Charter schools are public schools, so it's free and open to all. If you have more interest in a particular charter school than there are slots, and the school, by law, holds a lottery to determine who gets in.
It's basically the equivalent of putting your name in a hat. And in this past year, we had 650 families that wanted to put their names in the hat. I mean, you feel it when they call the name and the family sort of gets up and they're excited and they're cheering and they're hugging each other. And I mean, we had parents that were crying, just like out of excitement. But then as each name goes, you sort of see like the families who are still sitting there and waiting as we get past the 65 and keep on moving. I mean, we're just, for us, it was just sort of, we're reading out names out there, but for these families, it's really their one hope.
Because I wasn't able to afford a private independent education for my daughter, although my expectations were there. Although it is discouraging that her number out of 665 applicants, there was only 135 students. 65 students would get in, from what I understand, and another 65 would go on the wait list. And my daughter's number was in the 600s, so it's pretty discouraging. I'm still calling. I'm not going to give up. So those are the options, basically.
That kind of hurts me because he could be in the same shoes I'm in, but he's not, and he wants to like do other things. And I see many people, like, they don't even have to be dead or in jail, but they could be doing a lot more than they are, but they're just not, because nobody's really pushing them.
He's not getting taught as if he was going to get taught here, because here they teach you more, and even though we don't like it, but it is true that every teacher wants to bring to our attention that our work is key.
All of my friends and their kids are looking for charter schools for their children.
Children of low-income families who are just struggling in public schools, who could have been doing wonderful and be doing above average in charter schools. And it's just, it makes no sense, this thing of only allowing so many.
I just hope that we could have more charter schools, and I just hope that parents who don't have the money to pay for an independent school were given the choice to send their kids to our charter schools. I hope that the Boston public schools and those people in the government who are against charter schools change their mind.
There are an enormous number of established interests that are threatened by charter schools. So this is just the idea that charters are draining resources or hurting the districts. What the districts ought to be doing is innovating and reforming and learning from the charters and competing with them. The achievement gap is not something that we're stuck with. We will be stuck with it if we choose to be stuck with it, by refusing to face the reality that vast structural change is needed in the regular public schools. And shame on us if we don't do it, and the entire city and the entire Boston region will suffer enormously if we do not equip minority kids to succeed.